History of culture, keep the big shows. One set of girls and banner. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up. The people fed up, they hiding corruption inside the cup. Look how evil set up. The people fed up. Every picture you take and promise you make, everything you do is about clouds. Then you come into me for I shake your hand, there's nothing to smile about. Corruption inside every sector, but when it comes to them, they send you. Try investigate efficiency, right? Go talk to Baratans too, cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, good evening. Welcome to Over to You, a show for the people, by the people. Welcome, welcome, everyone. I hope everyone is keeping well and is having a productive Saturday thus far. Again, welcome to the program. I see Keith Beresford is saying, let's get it on. Yeah, well, maybe we may just get it on tonight. I see that it is now 7:10, right? And knowing how you guys are already, you guys like your full hour. So I'll give you guys a heads up front that the program will be going on till 8:30 this evening, okay? So you guys going to get back your 10, 11 minutes and more, all right? So please go ahead, guys. Share the link, like the program. This is your program, a program by the people for the people. Please go ahead, share the link. I will start off by doing a roll call as usual. I want to, say that our hearts and our prayers are with the people of Jamaica. Of course, that's a CARICOM member, right? And we know that they would have just went through a devastating hurricane there. So, our thoughts and our prayers are with our brothers and sisters of Jamaica and Cuba and these other countries that were hit. Okay? This can happen to anyone. Fortunately for us in Guyana, we don't experience much hurricanes, right? But we do get our fair share of flooding. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to welcome everyone around the world, the UK, the United States. I know we always have the Canadians in the house. I want to say this for all the viewers and listeners from Canada. I know you guys come in here today on a high, right? Your Toronto Blue Jays have taken the MLB Finals, the World Series, to a Game 7. So I know you guys are high on that, Miss Desiree Smart, Felix, and others. All right, let's do the roll call. Paulette Hart, a pleasant good evening to you. Welcome to the program. Paula Mattis, welcome to the program. Marcus Paul, 9023. I want to know if these are police officers when they have these numbers at the end. I'm not sure. All right. Marcus Paul, good evening to you. Canarsie, Brooklyn is in the house. Nice. This is good. Andrea Jackman, good evening. Imelda Williams, a pleasant good evening to you. Miss Jacqueline Johnson, a pleasant good evening to you. Welcome to the program. Rajendra D. Knott, welcome to the program, sir. Miss Mary Figuera, there goes our first Canadian. Good evening. Welcome to the program. Miss Vashti McNaught, good to see you. It's a pleasure seeing you. Aileen Norton, good evening. Pam Halls, a pleasant good evening to you. Rosemary Martindale Brackett, a pleasant good evening to you. Miss Desiree Smart Felix, there goes another Canadian. Good evening to you. The Honorable Keith Beresford, it's great to see you. A pleasant good evening to you, sir. Karen Clark, good evening. Brenda Braithwaite, Miss Braithwaite, it's great to see you as always. I hope that you're keeping and doing well. Audrey Brown, good evening. Omnipresent Audrey Brown. Israel Gordon. Oh, yes. The Guyanese historian is here. It's a pleasant good evening to you, Israel, and it's good to see you. Rosie Rose Jeff, good evening. Darkus John, good evening. Sandra Hanover, good evening. I see Miss Rhonda Lane. Good night, Wayne Ceasar, and everybody else. Then I'm still in the house. A pleasant good evening to the freedom fighter, Miss Rhonda Lane. Thank you for all that you have done and continue to do. We love you here. Virginia, welcome. Good evening. The Honorable Mr. Victor Ben, a pleasant good evening to you, sir. Welcome to the program. Ashley, welcome. Lillian Leander, welcome to the program. All right. Miss Francine Cruz, I see you here. Althea Jones, good evening, welcome. Lance Young, good evening. Sean Anthony Ben, look sharp, my friend. Of course, Sean Anthony Ben, although my tie doesn't too match with my shirt, you can see that they are both green. And of course, Sean Anthony Ben is going to like that, an avid PNC supporter. I see Mr. Theodore Adams is here also, one of the leaders of the Forward Guyana movement. It's good to see you, Theodore. Good to see you, sir. Good to see you. A lot of people are here. Alison Sam, good evening. I can go on and on, guys. I'm not going to get all the names, but good evening. Welcome to the program. Welcome to the program. So we're going to dig in. Mr. Ernest Elliott, good to see you. Lawrence James, good to see you. Paulette Hicks, good to see you. All right, Ruth Sokraj Dainty, good to see you. Miss Robin Aline Barnwell, good to see you. I can't miss these people. I cannot. Denise Booker, of course. Miss Booker, it's good to see you in the house this evening. All right, guys, we're gonna dig in. We're gonna dig in. All right. So let's head up the river. There's a lot to discuss tonight, but we're gonna head up the East Bank and get off the bridge, and we're gonna head out to Friedenhoop, where that police officer, was murdered, right? And we're gonna just do a quick little debrief on this, because when you look at the video, right, and I call it premeditated murder, I can't see how one can see it differently. Here you have a police officer that, from a stature perspective, is much bigger than the business owner who essentially shot and killed him.
You asking me, brother? No, you want to. You ask me what the fucking station? I don't put the fucking enemy.
All right. Okay. All right. We have just seen that. All right. We have just seen that. So the owner of that business entity, okay, he would have further provoked that police officer, by saying, do what? And you're going to see what's going to happen to you, who going to go and who not going to go. Why would he speak that way? Well, he knew what he had behind the counter there. Okay? Had he not had a gun behind the counter, he would not have spoken in that manner, right? He knew that if that policeman, in his estimation, would have stepped across the boundaries that he would have set, the business owner, he set his own boundaries. Okay? That issue could have been solved with no problem whatsoever. Your device is not working, leave it here with us. Okay? Come back on Friday, come back on another day, we're going to have it ready for you. Simple. Simple. But it led to an argument. It led to a confrontation. Look, in business, right? What's the saying? If the customer has not come with a gun to stick up, you understand me, your store and rob it, the customer is always right. Okay? So this policeman looked like if he would have purchased something from the establishment, right? And the item that he would have purchased, he found out that it was not working, so he brought it back. All right? And I'm sure any one of us on this program this evening would have done the same thing. We would have brought back the item to the establishment, spoken to, the owner or whomever it was, and let them know, okay, that the product was not working. This is what happened. It essentially led to an argument. All right. I believe that the owner of the establishment full and well knew that he had a firearm behind the counter, right? And therefore, he indulged, with the police officer, right? The officer obviously threw an item at him, right? And he went behind the counter, he lifted up his firearm, he cocked it, and he fired it. Okay, that's premeditated. He intended to kill that officer. From the argument alone, how he was behaving in the argument, you already knew that boundaries were already set. And the officer crossed the boundary. And he was executed in premeditated murder. Okay, so now to slap him with a charge of manslaughter, give him bail, and release him, it's a crying shame. It's a crying shame. It just shows you how the justice system in Guyana operates. It is not consistent. It is only consistent. It is consistent in one way. It is consistent in one way. That once you are a Guyanese of African descent, there is no justice for you. That is what's consistent about this system. Okay? There is no justice for African Guyanese and African Guyanese families. All right? No justice. I believe that a folder should be sent with this case to the DPP, and the charge should be reversed from manslaughter to premeditated murder. Okay? It was an action, okay, that was premised on boundaries set by the owner of the establishment, not by any law. Okay? He should have been the one that should have been looking to diffuse the whole issue. Instead, he took the life of a customer. Okay? For no reason whatsoever. Yeah, there was no reason for that. Okay, he threw an object at me. I have cameras in my establishment. I will take a clip. I will take it down to the precinct. And I will indicate to the police officers at the precinct that I was assaulted by this customer. Simple. And it would have been business as usual. The customer was a police officer. I'm sure that they would have solved the issue quickly. Okay? And it would have been business as usual. But Guyana, the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, the fabric of the nation has been torn away. Okay? There is no respect for life anymore. Right? Everybody's just living day to day. And where this starts, it starts at the level of government, right? The posture of the government in these matters. There's nothing that is ever done by the government of Guyana really, put their foot down to try to mitigate crime in the nation, right? We saw under the APNU AFC 2015 to 2020, there were curfews, right? That government made the citizens work with them to mitigate, crime. They made the citizens work with them. You guys behave yourself, then what we're going to do, we're going to relax the curfew. You guys misbehave, we're going to really tighten up the curfew, right? You will have to show documentation that you're actually going to work if you're on the road a certain time, right? But under the PPP, there is no curfews. There's nothing to mitigate crime, right? It's just business as usual. The people of Guyana is becoming immune to death because it's happening every day. Again, I believe that this case should be sent to the DPP and the charges should be changed to premeditated murder. Okay? That's my belief on that case. And I hope that the family and the attorneys for this officer will be pushing for that. He had no right losing his life in that manner. All right. The other part of that is that it sends a profound message to police officers. You know, you have to be careful how you deal with the citizens today. All right. Many of the citizens are now armed. A lot of people are armed in Guyana now. Whether it's through the quote unquote legal route or illegal weapons, right? Many may say that, look, it serves the members of the Guyana police force right because they always beating up and bullying the people, right? Do they have a point? Many may say yes, right? The Guyana police force is supposed to be a body that is there to protect and serve the people who essentially pays their salary through the taxes that are withheld from their monthly or bi-weekly paychecks. So they ought to be respected. The citizens pay for the service from the Guyana police force, right? It's not something that's a freebie. The gun you wear on your waist, the uniform you put on every day, say thanks to your client, and your client is the people of Guyana. They are the people of Guyana. That's your client. All right. We keep it moving here. Now I know many of you would have witnessed the incident that killed a young man, the young 15-year-old that was struck down and killed this past week, right? What's his name? Narendra Mahes. Yes, he will be buried tomorrow, right? It is funny. And I believe that there was an accident also that I viewed a little before I came on here. A terrible accident at Belfield just before I came on this program tonight. And the condition that the person looked in, I feel like if that person was deceased, I don't know if any of you guys would have saw that and can shed some light if that person did lose their life or what the case was there. But it is saddening to see all the vehicular accidents that we are having in Guyana. All right, let's remember that we are still one of the fastest growing economies in the world. And in the case of young Narendra, right, they are mechanisms that they are tools, they are resources that we can purchase as a nation and put in place, right? I frequent New Jersey quite a bit. And there's this contraption that is set up that the pedestrians just have to walk up and they press a button and then all these lights start flashing, right? Telling the vehicle operators that pedestrians are about to cross. So we know and we come to a stop. And we wait and we see who is crossing. And once they're finished crossing, then we continue and we proceed. Guyana needs to purchase that contraption and put it in place to mitigate these road accidents. You should not be crossing the street and being killed. And then what I understood, it was a three-way lane, and one of the lanes was going in the rush hour direction. They usually shut down a lane from the other side, I understood, for rush hour. Look, this is something that is normal. I see it here in the United States all the time during rush hour, right? Depending on where most of the traffic is going, they're going to shut down a lane on the other side to make things move faster. For the most part, they do the express buses there, and other important vehicles. And sometimes passenger vehicles with a certain amount of passengers. Right? It's something normal. But when you're going to do something like that, I believe you have to educate the nation. More so also, you have to educate school children that this is going to be happening so that they can pay attention. That's one factor. And I'm sure if you guys looked at that incident, it would concern you with the pace that that vehicle was going at. It's like, what's the matter? Are you late for your mother's funeral or something? Why that kind of speed at that time of the day? We are not thinking. Everybody's just doing what they feel like doing. And that doesn't start with the people. It starts with the government. Victor Ben is saying the only crosswalk sign is invisible. Cross at your own risk. Are you saying to Guyanese that when they go to cross the street or a highway is a major risk? And we are saying that we're putting all this money into infrastructure. Israel Gordon, you're correct. Guyana is a land of decay and dysfunction. That is well put. Jason Benjamin saying, was the driver on our phone? Only she knows the truth. The Guyana police force lies blatantly. Facts to that. He's right. But the pace the vehicle was going at is quite concerning. And to know that you're driving, Jason is making a very, very good point here. Because if you're driving, you're paying attention to what you're doing, you're looking out front, you have to see that young man. He didn't walk out from behind a pole. You had to see him. How could you have not seen him? Something else had to be going on in that vehicle. But it's tragic. It is very, very, very tragic for such a young man, 15 years old, to lose his life. And listen, I want to say something. We have this saying in Guyana, in other places too. It was his time. Nonsense. Nonsense. People continue to die in that country every single day. And we're going to repetitively just say RIP and it's the person's time. That's not good enough, man. That's not good enough. We're going to keep saying that all the time until Guyana would not have any people, or they will not have a certain type of people at all. This is happening too often. And I've gotten accustomed these days to just say, look, everything I see, I say it's going to pass like everything else. Why? Why? Because that's what the people on the ground in Guyana do. They allow everything to pass. They accept everything. They don't question anything. Hence the reason the country is the way it is. Now, I'm going to say this to you. If you think that you're going to be like, hey, look, it's not my family, it's not one of my family members, we are good, all is well. No, it's coming your way. Your turn is coming. Your turn is coming. So don't allow it to happen. Do something about it now. Form community groups. You're not seeing party members from the party that you have voted for or whatever, or government coming into your village. Form your little village groups and set your own standards. When government come, tell them, no, this is what we want in our village. We had people dying at a public road. We want speed bumps. You can't put speed bumps on the highway. No, we got to put speed bumps on highways. Because too many Guyanese are dying on the roadways. And the PPP, okay, and the Guyana Police Department Traffic Division doesn't have a vision or a strategy as to how they're going to change this. Everybody's busy using up the oil revenue to build additional highways and roundabouts and all these things. And these things are killing people. When you build these things, you have to put the necessary safety measures in place to make sure that you're protecting your citizens. NCN shouldn't be used for PPP propaganda amongst other things. You should be using NCN, and every opportunity you have to educate the Guyanese people. Make nice short snippets, nice short videos. Because you know sometimes people have issues with their attention span. And yes, Jason, you're correct. There could never be too many signs. There could never be too many signs. During rush hour, the Guyana Police Force Traffic Department should be empty. No one should be there. Just maybe one or two people manning the phone. Everybody should be out in the highways and the byways. Rush hour in the morning, rush hour in the evening, same thing. That should be normal protocol. Another thing in Guyana, there needs to be some agency or some mechanism to vet how driver's license are given out. And to make sure that people are not purchasing driver's license. That's a major possibility with what you're seeing on the roads in Guyana. Also, I believe that drivers should be calling. Let's say you get your driver's license in April. Okay? The following year, in the month of April, you should be called in for a refresher course on all the driving rules and everything else. You should be studying up, and when you come in there, you should be prepared. We talked about the same thing last week for firearm holders, the carriers of firearms. There should be a yearly refresher. You cannot just give people firearms and have people behind the wheels of cars and you're not giving them refreshers. Make sure they understand the signs. Make sure they understand how roundabouts work. Make sure that they understand that pedestrians have the right for the most part. Look, as far as a crosswalk go, a precedent should be set that the pedestrian once in that crosswalk is always have the right. To the extent they didn't jump in front of the car or something like that. And I know nobody's not going to jump in front of a car unless they want to commit suicide or do something. They're not going to just jump in front of any car. Now, there was a recent report that came out on the rule of law. It's called the rule of law index, right? Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how many of you got a chance to look at it or to hear about it. But the government would have came out. And, as usual, they came out and they didn't agree with it. I mean, let me take a quick read here. It says the rule of law index is a comprehensive tool that measures how well countries uphold the rule of law based on factors like government accountability, absence of corruption, and human rights. Right? Now, ladies and gentlemen, when you look in those two areas, where do you believe the PPP stands? I don't even think they deserve 80 out of 148 or 43 countries, I believe. Look what has happened to young Peters and Fortuné in Linden. Look at the Adriana Young situation. And just to give you guys a little heads up, I believe Mr. Ben Chop is going to be joining me here anywhere around 8 o'clock. Right? Look at the young Guyanese angel right after we got off program last Saturday, Sunday, terror attack, bombing. Imagine that. Just imagine that. Innocent, young 8-year-old. What? She's 8 years old. You had Adriana Young who was 11. What? 11 and 8. What you got there? Like 9.9 years, 3 months average age. My goodness. And the PPP don't want us to address Guyana the way we address it. I address Guyana as a butcher shop. That's what Guyana is under the PPP. A butcher shop. Butchery of its own citizens. And people want to come out and laugh and smile. There's no law and order in Guyana. I refuse to further call the PPP a government. And for those large external economies and those nations, they know themselves that support the PPP. Also, the businesses that are associated with the PPP. Shame on all of you. You have no morals whatsoever. The only morals you have is the morals for money. And to you Guyanese people on the ground, continue to believe in money and not your morals. And you will see what the end result will be. Continue to worship money. Continue. And you will see what the end result will be. To the PPP, all the ministers, their friends, the whole bandwagon, you know what you all do? You guys hide behind your 8 to 15-foot fences with your African Guyanese armed guards with their chest up in the air with a big gun in their hand. You hide behind them. You open up the borders of Guyana to Venezuela. When the people of Venezuela were claiming that they were in crisis. How true it is, I don't know. What crisis? It's been that way for the most part. What changed? But they came into Guyana unvetted. And we would have said it from the get-go that you have to vet those people. The sleeper cells are already planted in Guyana. Okay? To change anything, you would have to take everyone and send them back to Venezuela and then let them come back in the correct way. Where you're able to vet them and give them a path to citizenship in Guyana. You see, the PPP can't understand these things because these guys are not bright. They're not real bona fide leaders and politicians. It's a set of gangsters. And you know, look, listen, this is not the first time and it's not going to be the last time. If we continue to posture the way we posture in Guyana, that the larger economies in the world, that's what they do to these smaller nations. They get a set of criminals to intimidate the people and rule the nation while they extract all the resources out of the nation. But nobody don't want to say nothing. Nobody don't want to say anything. Everybody jumps around and is hesitant to talk about these things. Well, I will. I'm sorry. I will. I have to speak to what I see. All you want from the country is its resources. You're telling me that you don't care about the less than 1 million people that live in Guyana? Yet many of these nations want to call themselves some of the world's strongest democracies. Again, I'm going to question democracy. I'm going to question democracy because democracy seems to be a very convenient word to use. It seems as if the word democracy is used conveniently, while many leaders around the world continue to do things that widely differ from what is quote-unquote democracy. But they seem to always use that word democracy as a plaster. I don't know if you guys see the same way, but that is how I see it. When we look at Guyana, tell me, what do you see in the setup of government in Guyana that tells you that Guyana is a democracy? What is it that you see? The United States shows strong values when it comes to democracy, right? That's the reason that the United States have a government shutdown right now, because there is some measure of democracy. It is not a one-party rule nation. Kleptocratic, ethno-fascist regime. That is what Israel Gordon is calling the PPPC. I am 100% in agreement with him. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Attorney General Anil Nandalal would have requested the arrest of Mr. Azruddin Mohammed and Shell Mohammed. He would have requested that they be arrested. Okay, there are sealed indictments against these two individuals. Okay, they are sealed indictments against these two individuals. That is understood, right? That is understood. That being said, and listen, I am a very objective individual. And Azruddin Mohammed is no altar boy. Okay? He's no altar boy. We all know this. The same goes to the father. They're not altar boys. Right? I'm not giving them a feather in the cap here. But when I watch the scene at how Azruddin Mohammed was arrested, it disgusted me. I was disgusted at what I saw. Because in all the times that I would have seen Azruddin Mohammed in public, for the times that I've seen him in public, he was never a threat to anybody. Never. And I know most would agree that he was never a threat to anybody. He hasn't shown that he would do anything to anybody or anything. Right? There's a couple of ways that could have been done. You walk up to Azruddin Mohammed, 2 or 3 of you, you identify yourself, you show him your badge, your badges and stuff like that, a letter, hey, you're required to be at Evilary within an hour. Please be there. Meet us there. Story done. Story done. And look, this is not me trying to put a Fed in Azruddin Mohammed cap here. This is about principle. Now listen, ladies and gentlemen. Now tell me where I am going to allow men that show up in front of me with guns and masses to just take me away. I don't know who you are. I am here. You can see me. Right? If you harm me, I cannot give a description of you because you are all tied up and it's only your eyes, like Batman and Robin. You're telling me that is what the Guyanese citizens agreed to? I beg to differ. I beg to differ. Whether the order to arrest them was political or not, I don't care. Here is where I see a problem in the manner with how the arrest was conducted. And then you have a man in handcuffs, and you still got a gun inside your hand, literally with your hand on the trigger. Are you really kidding me? And then when it comes to the rule of law index, you want to have a good rating. Well, look here, the PNC, not the PNC, the PPP, the PPPC does terrorize the people of Guyana. I'm saying this to all the entities that are listening in. The PPP does terrorize the people of Guyana. The citizens of Guyana, they are scared to speak out because they are fearful for their lives. And it's going to be more so because you cannot identify who is police and who is not police because everybody's wearing masks. And yet you have chief justices and all these justices, they just sit down and watch. You guys are a waste of time. You are all a waste of time. You know, if one day the Guyanese people just get up and just decide to just walk all over all of you, I'll have absolutely nothing to say. Nothing to say. You are failures. That's what you are. Failures to your own citizens. You got to be arrested now. You getting arrested by men with guns. Those tactics are all to intimidate people. Like the young man that disappeared in Tonga, and they said that he's buried somewhere deep in Buxton. You know, when quote unquote police walk up on you in Guyana, you really don't know who you dealing with. Because the police, they're thief as much as the bandits. Some of the police in Guyana, they steal as much as the bandits. Some of the police in Guyana work hand in hand with bandits. And I am sure that police in Guyana would have set up the demise of a lot of people over the years. I'm quite sure. The country has just become an evil place. The country has become a place for just the rich. Because the rich can easily survive in Guyana. They have the money, they have the security, they have the homes, they have everything. Now, this terror attack is still being investigated. Right? And there's a lot of people that is not buying what the Guyana police force is selling right now. Right? But if there are more cells out there, be men. You know who you have a problem with. You know who the war is against. Don't kill innocent people. Why? That's coward, man. You're being a coward when you do that. Get the sources. Go to the people who you have the issue with. Leave the innocent Guyanese people. Most of them is living already below the poverty line. They don't need to have to deal with terrorists too. Come on, enough is enough. You go to a public place like a gas station that you know that people are going to be there. Innocent people. And you choose to bomb there. And I tell you this, thank God to Jesus for that gas station attendant that was able to reroute that individual to put that bomb somewhere else. Because had that bomb went off where she was at that garbage bin, at that garbage receptacle, oh, that would have been a massive explosion right next to the gas pumps. Oh yeah, the Guyana doesn't have the equipment to battle what that fire would have looked like. And what would have happened to the neighboring structures in that area. Guyana doesn't have the resources to battle that. They would have just have to let that burn. So what I want to say essentially to the PPP, and I'm not going to call them a government, is that y'all on the work doings, y'all corruption, okay, is coming back to haunt. And it is not coming back to haunt you guys. Because like I said, you guys live behind your 8 to 15 foot fences. And your African Guyanese security guards with their big gun and their chest standing up. I saw somebody on the program would have just said the phantom is back. Brothers and sisters, it looks like if it's going to be worse this time around. It looks like if it's going to be worse, but I want to know how long people are going to stay single where they are targets, or when they're going to come together and say, look, enough is enough. Enough is enough. If you have somebody in your village that is just dominating the scene and bullying everybody, then the whole village need to stand up against that person. Don't allow no one individual to bully a whole village. Guyanese got to start standing up. The PPP is not right for Guyana. They are not right for Guyana. How we manage our resources today determines our tomorrow. But before I jump into that, I want to say something, guys. Let's do a little exercise on the program. And I know Israel is here. I know we have a lot of intelligent people here tonight. Let's do some simple comparing and contrasting. Jason Benjamin, I see you here too. When you look at what would have happened with Wayne Ceasar, and you look at what would have happened with that incident with that police officer on that businessman, okay? And you look at the fact that that businessman is out there walking today, and Wayne Ceasar is behind bars for what is a much lesser crime. And he has not even been proven guilty of anything yet. Because the elderly gentleman is saying it is his stuff. Whether he's willing to take the fall in the matter or whatever the case is. Wayne Ceasar once roamed the halls of Parliament and should have been given some measure of respect. It comes back to show you what the Guyanese people are dealing with, right? For what many outsiders and the large economies and everybody out there wants to call a government. I don't believe that Guyana has a government. It is set up structurally to be a government that adheres to democratic values. The framework is there. But essentially, the Guyanese people are dealing with a bullying criminal organization, okay, that refused a clean voters list, that refused biometrics, so that they can continue to sit there and oppress. The quote-unquote president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, the quote-unquote installed, because, ladies and gentlemen, anybody who sits in government without a new list is installed. I don't care what party you come from. Guyana needs a new voters list and it needs biometrics. See what Hazel Johnson is saying? Shut the oil production off. You know, Hazel Johnson, that the point is a good point. But I tell you this, people are so in love with money that they'll probably use live wrongs on the Guyanese people. That's what it's become. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, you may say, Wayne, you kill me with this. But what I do, ladies and gentlemen, I always piggyback and I go to the 23 years that the PPP were in power. And I always ask myself, how did this happen? How did it happen that a government of that caliber was able to sit in power for 23 years? And we are dealing, the Guyanese people, today with the repercussions of those 23 years. Notice, ladies and gentlemen, what happened. They neglected the black communities with reason. With reason. Because they say that when we are ready and we go into the black communities, we would have neglected them for so long, okay, that they would be desperate and the people will fall to their knees to worship us. Mr. Benchop, welcome to Over to You.
Hi, good evening. How are you doing?
I am doing fine. If you can say good evening to my audience here also. I have a pretty lively audience here this evening.
Okay, so you do have an audience. Sorry about that. I didn't realize that you have an audience. I thought you were on talking by yourself. But good night to your audience. Good night to everyone. Yes, good night.
Yeah, I would like you to I would like your thoughts on the terror attack that would have occurred last Sunday. And just summarize and highlight and give your thoughts on that matter, please.
Yep, thank you so much. I noticed some people are being distracted with the Azardine situation. It's a distraction. It continues to be a distraction. It continues to be a pest, if you ask me, on the nation. And people need to move forward. People do not need to get caught up with personal battles, personal war, and then they come across and give the impression as though they care for you, and this is about democracy, and the fight against them is about democracy and persecution and so forth and so on. It's a personal battle about wealth, about vexation, and all sort of things. And the unfortunate thing is that ordinary people, and when I say the ordinary people, also mainly one group of people are being targeted as pawns in this so-called game, this game between the PPP and the Mohammed stem. It's just a game, because never before have they cared about the ordinary rank of people. Never before have they really cared about persons of African descent. But you suddenly see them and giving the impression as though they care about the people, and that this battle here is a political battle between them and the PPP. It has not been. It has not been a political battle, at least not on the part of the U.S. It's a criminal investigation that has led to indictments, and subsequent to the indictments, charges and sealed indictments that were made by the grand jury. And as a result of those sealed indictments with serious criminal charges within those indictments, and indictments come about as a result of evidence. They don't come about as a result of talk, name, and hearsay, and who said this and who said that. Concrete evidence and with years of investigations. This is not an investigation that started just the other day, as the Muhammad would want to give the impression that it's just the other day, and because he ran for office. He only ran for office for protection. That is what it is. And I am not too bothered about when certain people bumps raise and they cuss up and go on. That is what you call madman syndrome, and I'm not going to get involved with that. We state the facts. This is what happens, and I hope people can wake up and understand that they're being used. And I see it. It is there. The party of which Azruddin is, quote unquote, the leader of, is a party that doesn't really care about people in general. And this, I'm going to talk directly to the PNC people. Don't think for a moment that Azruddin and his father and his family like you guys in the PNC. They have, and there is evidence to show that they have done sufficient in order to go after, to destroy the PNC. That is their modus operandi, to destroy the PNC. Hence, you hear they don't want to work with the PNC. Hence, you hear PNC get money, and it's about going where they get the money, and with this, and the money, and the money, and the money, and all manner of things. That is what it's about. And I want people to do not be bullied by people who feel that the only way of communicating is cuss up and abuse up and cuss and cuss and cuss. Those things have their people, and they have their small audience for that. However, as we look at the bigger picture, in order to have Guyana breathe again and sensible people become once again in control of our country, this is not about two set of people fighting over wealth and who got rich over who and who could this and who could that. I mean, I guess our people are big and they get sense and they are reading between the lines what's happening here now. Suddenly, I heard the other day somebody said that the PNC and the PPP are coalescing, they're back together, they're working, and all manner of brainwashing things. And suddenly people who never cared about Burnham cussed Burnham, said Burnham is a racist and all sort of things, but because it suit their agenda, they're suddenly hollering that how, what are they hollering? They're saying that Burnham must be crying in his grave. Burnham, give me a damn break. Y'all never care about Burnham, never said anything good about Burnham, but because it suit their agenda, suddenly Burnham crying in his grave. Burnham crying in his grave, yes, to see the sort of Pakus that parading as political leaders in the country. Of course, he got to cry in his grave. But now, getting back to the question that you asked me.
No, but Mark, you just opened that can of worms. So I believe I have something else to you with regards to this before we leave this topic.
Sure, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, well. First of all, I want to thank you for addressing the whole social media part of this. Where you have social media people who host programs and stuff would open up their Facebook and host programs and stuff. They come out and and they curse and they go on and stuff like that. But then, Mark, I believe also that the onus is also upon the Guyanese people, to watch programs that they know that is going to be edifying to
Don't
them.
don't think for a moment. Don't think for a moment, Mr. Caesar, that people don't. The Guyanese people are not stupid people, Despite Jack Dave and some others who believe that Guyanese people are that way, but Guyanese people are not stupid. They know what to digest and what not to digest. They know what they should listen to. They know what they skin their teeth for. They know they laugh. They get a good joke. They know where they go to get serious information and serious programs. So I mean, look, I'm not too bothered about the that aspect. Our people are very intelligent people, and so they know what's going on. They know that they're being taken. Our ordinary rank and file people in Guyana, mainly Guyanese of African descent, are being taken for granted. They're being taken advantage of. And as one individual over at Win said, it's about the money. It's about the money. So that's what elections have come down to now: is who get the most money to buy votes, to swar the people. And unfortunately, that's what it is. But people are going to open their eyes and to understand that politics is not just about money. It's about a vision. It's about policies that can impact people's lives, policies that can make our young generation offer them hope, give them a better education, and these sort of things. And we see that in the coalition. We see that in APNU. All we see in these other fly-by-night individuals and so forth is just gaff, just talk, just what I call some bites. That's what it is. And it's going to fade away because in this game, it's about longevity. We see people just pop up on social media, bark a little. Sorry about that, guys. And they cuss up. Right? I'm glad your listeners aren't seeing my face. And that's what they do, right, Israel Gordon? They bark. And who can cost the most and who can cost out Ben Chap, let Ben Chap carry so and so self, so. Ben Chap carries sour self, so Ben Chap is a dirty dog. Oh gosh, it's okay. It makes them feel good, right? But politics is more than that. People are big, they're smart, they understand the game, they know who are the chihuahuas, like this reminds me back on the quarantine, or even in Linden, or anywhere in Guyana, you walk in the village and you're just hearing, all you hear is those
Straight
are the
up.
right eaters, right? And so that is what we have. We have the rice eaters barking, and you don't know what they're barking about. While. Mark this, mark that, mark carry so and so, mark carry dirty self. Well, I don't know about dirty self, but mark this. Somebody take away mark. Somebody this. Until the big dogs come and say, ruff. The small chihuahuas got to hold their corner. Now, having said all of that with a little bit of humor, again, I know our people are smarter than that. They know, and I'm saying this point blank. I'm no friends of the Mohammeds. The Mohammeds have not done anything, in my opinion, to impact Guyanese lives. In my opinion, they have done more to harm mainly Guyanese of African descent. And those few who support them can raise their bumps how much they want to raise their bumps. I was there in Guyana. I felt the brunt of these sort of things where businessmen pool up their monies. They formed gangs, death squads. They went after individuals. They slaughtered people, and all these manner of things. People were incarcerated unjustly, wrongful charges, all these things. And so no chihuahua could bluff their way and to tell me that I don't have a right to my opinion, that I wasn't there on the ground. On the ground was like a war zone. And those who were part and parcel of the PPP, who were pooling up their monies to fight against those of us who were fighting against an oppressive system. In that struggle, we have lost a lot of brothers. We've lost a lot of sisters. Innocently, they've died, like Donna McKinnon, who was slaughtered in front of Freedom House. And I do remember that case because I've been there with the family. We have protested. We have been fighting for justice and all these manner of things. And so overnight, for anybody to tell me that the Mohammeds mean well for people like me or for Guyana, they could sell that dream to someone else. That's all I can say. Now,
but Mr. Benchop, you said something there just now. You talk about African Guyanese and the few that support Win Party. I believe that the majority of the Win Party is built by with the voting bloc for the bill for the Win Party is African Guyanese, and they have 16 seats in Parliament. So
Well,
that
that's the
represents a large demographic
that's the
of
that's the objective, to manipulate the minds of ordinary rank and file Guyanese of African descent. And they do so because people feel that they have the money. And people, they come outright and they tell you, they're not joking. They're not making, comical, statements. They are serious when they say money. It's about their money. So they feel they could roll up into communities and basically buy votes from people just like that. Because elections turn out now not about policies, not about people giving people hope. It's about basically brainwashing people, giving them a 5,000, a little 20,000 for vote and whatever, and they can help them with a little something. And help them with a little something is short term. You need politicians, you need political parties who have vision, sensible vision, and policies for a country. And in my opinion, the PNC, APNU, and those guys are the guys who had that. They have presented a good plan for Guyana. And unfortunately, because of course, corruption at GCOM, the rigging of elections and so forth have caused the PNC to be where they are today. Of course, there were other internal problems, and I do hope that they get that fixed as quickly as possible. Because when you have internal problems and you just don't get it right, and you have some members within your party, one foot in another political party, one foot in another group, collecting a little money for advice this and advice that, some of them selling guns to Apache, some of them giving their supporters mixed signals and all these sort of things. You're seeing what's happening. So you spoke about the fact that WIN is supported by 98% of African Guyanese. And I do hope African Guyanese realize what's happening to them. And I hope they realize very soon, very shortly.
Okay. You also spoke of money, Mr. Benchop, and you said that that is going to wear off. Does money ever wear off? And how does the PNC, and by extension the APNU, navigate that issue of money, since money would have played a massive part um in this past election? What do you think are the options to really get over that hurdle of money?
Well, it's a good message, a solid message, talking to each other, and strong leadership as well. And I think the PNC will get back to the point of that strong leadership, strong collective leadership, not a one man show or whatever, a strong collective leadership. And I hope that very soon they will get back to that position. Because when people see that political parties are divided, and you have some within the PNC fighting for position, fighting for this, they feel that they could this and that, and bumps raise, and then they beat out and they start to chip away at the foundation. You wonder what's happening. So there's a bunch of different things that cause the sort, apart from the rigging at GCOM, mind you, because they did a lot of rigging, and you saw Win giving the impression that they really cared about people, and that they are fighting against the PPP. I don't know where they got that notion from, because there is no evidence that Win Party or Azruddin Mohammed, they were really serious about going after the PPP or PPP support base. Their focus, and their only focus, was on and in African dominated communities. That is what they have been doing, and they continue to do just that. And hence people thought, people people at the last elections, PNC supporters thought that if they voted for Win, because they were being swore, right? And the PNC didn't make much, but they already had their internal fighting, and they didn't make much usage in terms of proper PR to early o'clock talk to their supporters. And while the leadership may have been talking to their supporters, they had some right within the leadership of the PNC that were selling guns to Apache and basically selling out the birthright of the PNC to other groups, maybe for financial gains and these sort of things. And at some point in time, some of those individuals will be revealed because they're playing a double agent role, whilst pretending that they like the party and pretending that Aubrey is the problem. If Aubrey Norton is the problem so much that you're just going to do whatever it is to sink a party that you boast about, that your grandmother, your grandfather was a part of, and one man makes you hate the party so much that you go and sell your voting rights off to another party in order to sink the PNC because you don't like one man, that is Aubrey Norton. I think reality check should kick in as quickly as possible. But I wish I want to talk so much because there's so much that happened behind the scenes, so much that we are aware of, and what transpired, and it's just shameful if you ask me. Sometimes I look at some of the people who pretend as though they're now talking, as though they care about Guyana, they're so patriotic, and all I see when they talk, all that I see is just a dollar sign. That's all.
Well, all right. Mark, I do have a question for you, and I think this is an important one. You talk about the infighting and how it has weakened the party, amongst other things. But I want to ask you this question. How much damage do you believe that social media and some of the presenters would have done to that party also? Because I believe that social media had a major impact also
Well, I
on the
look.
party.
Well, good question. Social media is there. There are people going to talk. There are people who are going to talk sensible things. There are people who are going to bark. There are people who are going to spread propaganda. That is social media, and we have to face that reality. What the party needed was a strong PR presence. They didn't have that. They had a PR presence, but it wasn't strong. It wasn't effective. Some of them use it for their own benefit, just to sound nice-ish and gaff. It's not about gaffing. You gotta look. Social media is about young people, and young people like myself, older folks like you, of course, and some others in the audience, like the older ones, but young people like myself and Ernest Elliott and and Hazel Johnson and so forth. We are the young people. Now, putting that little humor aside, if our politicians or political parties and leadership of political parties do not know how to handle social media, then they could kiss the dinner goodbye. Social media is the way forward in 2025. And so political parties and political leaders need to get their grip together, right? It's about presentation. Even Trump, look, Trump, as old as Trump is social media. He rushes out there. He talks. He does his thing. Look at Biden. Look at Obama. When Obama first came on the scene, it was social media and all these things. So you got to use it to your advantage. And I don't think that the PNC used social media much to their advantage. And the little that they have done was not, in my opinion, that effective. This is not to say that they weren't effective in some areas. What they have done, if somebody abused them, they may want to abuse back. They want to take the high road. You got to be able to find ways to abuse back. You could throw shades because you guys know I throw a lot of shades. And for me to say there are chihuahuas out there, that's a shade, mind you. And you got to be able to fight back your political opponents. And social media is the platform for that. Let me give you an example. The leader of the opposition then, and the leader of the PNC, has not made social media a number one priority. If you go on his page is virtually dead, his social media page. But when you contrast that with the others, political party people, whether I'm a leader or whatever it is, you will see that they're very active. They go live, there are live events. Even Tanti Moral Jack Deal is using social media. whether it's effective or not. But he's live on his page. And when you talk to these guys in the opposition, like their bumps raised, they get vexed, don't talk to you, you can't do that. Now, back to social media. And let me say this, I've been saying this to people. They write long, 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 long. And I'm glad folks are not seeing my face. They write long, 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 long letters and articles with big, 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 big words. Sometimes you gotta get a ruler. Sometimes you gotta get a ladder to climb up to see the big word. Because you can't see the big, big, big. Look, social media and young people, they don't want to hear them things, them the. You got to be able, you get 30 seconds to get the attention of your social media audience. If you failed within that 30 seconds, guess what? Them young people gone. Don't come and tell them young people, well, good night. By the time you don't say good night and you drag your good night out, they gone, they bolt, they run away. So you got to have some sense of humor as well. Look at Bill Clinton. Look at Barack Obama, and he walking and things like that. You got to. And these are things those guys in the opposition they weren't paying attention to that. They feel that the politics is serious. You come with a dread face, a serious face, and this is not throwing shades at Mr. Aubrey Norton, but people expected Mr. Aubrey Norton to smile. He says, on the other hand, that he ain't got smiley. And of course, you got to. This is not a 70s or 80s politics. Of course, politics is serious and leadership is seriousness, yes. But people want to look at Auntie Moore at his press conference. He joking, right? She skin up the teeth. She do all kinds of things. She move on. And our people in the opposition, I say our because I'm a supporter of the opposition, the real opposition, PNC APNU. I'm a supporter. Simple as that. I mean, I got beat around the bush or run around or run and hide. I may be a bit tough on them at times, but it's called tough love. Unfortunately, they don't like the tough love. They like when you chat you up and you hug them up, you kiss them. This is my bye, this is my girl, right? They love that. But the minute you give them some sort of constructive critique, they don't like it. So back to the social media stuff. They did not play the social media game correctly. Simple as that. They do not still to this day have a proper PR. They need these sort of things. Over to you, Mr. C.
Good. Mark, and look, I thank you so much for coming on tonight because I do have some pressing questions that I need you to answer for me, please.
No.
Well,
No.
I know you want to run. I want you to. No. This is a critical question.
You don't necessarily
this is a critical question, and you're not going to run from it because I have an audience here that is backing me, so you can't run from it.
We can't be speaking over each other like that. But let me say this to you. You know very well you don't have a bunch of pressing questions to me because it's 32 minutes after 8 o'clock. You playing old head that you from Pleasance that you want the program to go on long. But not here. Let me hear your question, please, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So we're into a new election cycle. Parliament is about to commence on Monday. The new parliament is about to commence on Monday. I just want your opinion, right, because I haven't seen any action, so I'm going to call it inaction, pertaining to a new voters list, biometrics, the PNC, and by extension the APN, you have 12 seats in parliament, therefore they qualify for time on NCN. The Natural Resource Fund committee that has nobody from the opposition on it. No member from the opposition is on the Natural Resource Fund committee. I would like you to address those three, please, for me and your thoughts.
No. I ain't come to address natural resource funds because that is basically, that's a puzzling cup access to puzzling cup to the PPP. They push their hand inside, they thief, they take, they give their friends, their cronies, they while it out. Like tonight is Saturday night. Some of them taking the same taxpayers' money and they're going around by the cathedral and spend some. And they going in the bars, they're going in Baroom Bar, they're going and spend some and watch them girls climb up wherever, whatever it is, and the people get adrift. That's what they're doing with the natural resources funds. They're not putting it into communities. They're not putting it into, to say, for example, in Region 10, Ituni, to say that they have a proper program so that the kids can have proper jobs. You come out of high school, you come out of university, there's no job. Unemployment is so high, not just in Region 10. You take a look around Linden, you ask them, one, maybe 2 out of 10 young people don't have a job. iTunes is even worse. There's no proper health center. There's no proper health care. You go to Kokwani, it's the same thing. Of course, in my opinion, the PNC APNU have, they still do have a good plan for not just Region 10. I don't see any other plan any other party has other than just gab, other than just talking and putting some square, sharp pegs in wrong holes. That is what we're seeing. And so the natural resources funds is being misused by the PVP regime. It's a petty cash for them. And so we see they go out of the country and they beg for money. Irfan Ali suddenly become an influencer, what is it? The influential Muslim leader. I don't know since when Irfan Ali was elected as a Muslim leader. This is not to knock my Muslim brothers and sisters, but since when Irfan Ali was elected as a Muslim leader? Is he the head of CIOG? Is he the head of Islamic Trust? Is he the head of some mosque in Guyana? He has been, quote unquote, elected, as they claim, the president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. It so happens that his religion, well, he claims that he's a practicing Muslim. Fair enough. Anybody is allowed to practice their religion. But when he's being described as a Muslim leader, well, there's some cause for concern there. He's not a Muslim leader of Guyana. He is, quote unquote, like I've said, the president of Guyana, who happens to be a Muslim. Anyways, having said that, now to the other questions as it pertains to GCOM. Before GCOM can be tackled and exposed, the opposition, they need to get their act together. And the opposition, I really mean PNC, because I don't see Win as an opposition. Some people feel, and I've seen some comments, and some of them bombs going to raise right now. When the bombs raise, they're going to go out and they might put on a Facebook Live and start bark at me again. And go, right? I don't see Win as a true opposition party, so to speak. It's just they got a couple of those seats by fluke and by basically swarring the people with little money and little nice things and little fancy cars rolling in their communities. You know, maybe because if Mr. Aubrey Norton had a big hum and go in the communities and these sort of things and dole out money, maybe it would have been different too. But I hope our people understand that a little couple dollars of $5,000, $20,000 is just going to last maybe a couple of weeks and it's done. And when it's done, those who handed out money to you, you can't find them because they're not there to charge you up again. They're done with you. You're done with, and so you cannot survive in a country with that sort of swearing. You could only survive when there's good policies. And you got to vote for people who have your best interest and the country's best interest at heart. Hopefully, we'll get to that next elections and move away from being swar and people get you into their personal war and their personal battle, even after they would have evaded taxes with billions of dollars. And the Mohammeds are not the ones who are the only ones who are accused of that. There are other so-called business people who are close to the PVP who are accused of smuggling gold, smuggling drugs. There are others, not just the Mohammeds. So when Jack Dave and them want to make the Mohammeds look as though they are the only rascals, they have other rascals right now, right within the PPP. There's a document that was released by law enforcement agency over here with about 40 plus names, 40 plus photographs, and majority of them are of one ethnic persuasion. They are uh, East Indian Guyanese, and all of them, if not most of them, are connected to the PPP regime. And so these are things that are happening, and it so happens Guyana is the way it is. There's no proper future for young people. There's no proper job unless you know somebody, some cha, somebody chachi or somebody mahmoud in some ministerial position is gonna come and try to give you some sort of job because of connection. That is how that is what is happening. Nepotism is rampant in Guyana. So a young child out of school with a couple of good CXC and these sort of things, they can't get a proper job. Kids out of universities cannot get a proper job in Guyana unless they're connected to the corrupt PPP regime, and then unless one of them is hustling one of them little girls and give them a position, or little boys and give them and when I say little boys, I'm not just targeting Kwame, but little boys and so forth, because we hear a lot of accusations about sexual misconduct at DPI and these other places where Kwame McCoy is in charge of. So that is how the country is running. And you cannot have a country like that at all. You cannot have a country where a quote unquote political leader is wanted, not just wanted for breadfruits or plantain chips, but wanted for acts of terrorism, wanted for money laundering, wanted for gold smuggling, wanted for all sorts of things. And those are very, very serious charges, very serious allegations. And it is what it is. But you asked me a question about the terroristic act. But before I respond to that, just take a pause unless you have something else to say.
But you just finished talking about Muhammad, Azruddin Muhammad and his father, and all of these different, sealed indictments, all the different things, whether it's gold smuggling, you know, and all these other things that's attached to these two individuals. But Mr. Benchop, we also have to remember that the sitting installed president of Guyana also had 19 fraud charges against him. You have to remember also that the sitting quote unquote vice president in Guyana, Barry Jagdeo, we saw him live on the Vice News video, in an act with Sue. Okay, we saw him shocked and stuttering at the question that the reporter would have asked him. I mean, come on, all of these things tied together. And I mean, while it's not a crime where the US cannot trace anything to, whatever was Jagdio's wrongdoings, right now at least, right? It's still, on Guyana soil, should have still been investigated thoroughly. Don't you believe so, sir?
Well, touching on Irfan Ali's 19 fraud
Yeah.
charges, as you know, the Canadians blocked him from going to Canada, and he did say when his visa was yanked, when he was prevented from going to Canada, he did say that he's going to let the public know why. To this day, he has not. But I'll say this: it had a lot to do, based on information, mind you, it had a lot to do with allegations of money laundering with some so-called business people that he is connected with in Canada. And there was, and probably still is, put on pause now, investigations on money laundering. And the only reason that those 19 fraud charges were dropped was because they were installed in 2020. And immediately when they got installed, the DPP was asked to withdraw all of the charges against him. So it doesn't mean that when a new government is in place that those charges cannot be reinstated. All of those charges can be reinstated. So he does have those 19 fraud charges hanging over his head. As it pertains to Jagdeo, I'm not sure that he was caught in an act, but he was caught in what is called a conversation that has a lot of question marks over it. Now, again, Jagdeo may be under investigations or may have been. I'm not sure if it's on pause now in terms of money laundering, in terms of having a hefty bank account in China with billions upon billions of dollars and these sort of things. And so since they have not been indicted, at least not yet, I'm unaware of any indictments against them. Maybe in the future, who knows? But not now. And so that's the difference between them and the Mohammeds. However, as part of the indictments and as part of the sanctions against the Mohammeds and the PPP, another PPP operative, that is May Thomas, is that through the Mohammeds are alleged to have compromised and they paid bribes to senior government officials, senior police officers, judges, and magistrates. So the Mohammeds had every area covered because of that access to billions of dollars. And so, what I do hope is that at some point in time, we'll get to hear about those government officials who took bribe and those government officials who facilitated the smuggling of gold and other things, and who cover up, according to maybe the indictments, allegations of covering up other serious crimes in Guyana. So sooner or later, soon or later, the Guyanese people will get a better understanding as to what really transpired. One of the things, though, that Azardine said after he was released on $150,000 bail. Now, that's another story. There might be internal war between the PPP and what's happening right now there. But one of the things that he did say is that they cannot just like that smuggle gold. Well, essentially, he was basically saying that in so many words, unless they go ahead from corrupt officials. They obviously know who, if the indictments are accurate, and I have no reason to doubt the indictments and the evidence, they have to say who they corrupt. Is it Tom Jones? Is it Robert Passad? Is it Irfan Ali? Is it Zulfikar Mustafa? Is it his son? Who is it? Who are the senior police officer? Is it Blanham, the crime chief? Is it Hicken? Is it Caesar, the senior investigator there at CID? Who are those people? Who are the senior ones at GRA that were part and parcel of this? So it's a lot and lot and lot of information. And if the Mohammeds are serious about their bluebird singing, it's not about just talk, 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 talk. It's about let people see the evidence and know who the names, so that we can see probably some more indictments and more likely sanctions against government officials and past government officials of the PPP regime.
Well said. Thank you so much for that. I didn't think that you addressed the question in relation to NCN and time on NCN.
I don't. I think it's a waste of time. It's a waste of my breath, waste of my energy to answer that question. With all due respect, because NCN hasn't changed under the PPP regime. NCN has always been NCN. They're not going to give the opposition anything. You think they're going to allow Aubrey Norton to host this press conference there, or Dr. Campbell, or Saiku Andrews, or anybody in the opposition to go and air something there? They don't. NCN is a propaganda for the PPP regime. And at some point in time, the next government, and obviously it's not going to be the PPP, and I hope the PNC get their act together, they should consider privatizing NCN and Chronicle, because those are two entities that are waste of time, and not only waste of time, waste of hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars of feeding the likes of a Kwame McCoy and some of his little boys them there. That is what it's being used for, a waste of taxpayers' money. So those in the opposition who sitting down and complaining, oh, they ain't getting time on NCN ain't giving them time. Go out there. Times have changed. Go out there and create your own time on other spaces, other media houses, social media platform. Create positive time. And I'll say this, they're fighting to go on NCN, and I have a radio station on the ground, 107.1 FM, is a radio station. It's not a Facebook page, it's a radio station. Any one of them in the PNC ever reached out to me, whether it's the leader of the PNC or any one of them, to say, how can we access your station and make it better so that the information of the PNC can be circulated on the ground across Region 4 and other regions in Guyana, not just social media. So, waste of time crying about NCN. It's not going to get anywhere. Complete waste of time.
I must say, excellent point, though. Excellent point. So, I would now lead to a question that I've asked you about half an hour ago. I wanted your take and just a quick summary and insight on what you believe would have occurred last Sunday with what is deemed a terror attack at the mobile gas station, I believe on Regent Street. Over to you, sir.
Look, I'm going to make it clear. I'm going to be very pellucid. While it was a terror act, I see it more as a retaliation of somebody owes somebody money, some deal gone bad, some raw deal, and someone wants to send a message. Now, the police investigators may have stumbled upon information that would lead them to believe that that was a message being sent to possibly someone who was recently sanctioned. And when I say recently sanctioned, the Mohammeds were not recently sanctioned, but someone who was recently sanctioned, that the police have stumbled on a little piece of information to suggest that it may have been a message sent to somebody who owes somebody money and some raw deal went wrong. Maybe this explains why the police, they have not come back out, even though they keep saying people must be on the lookout and you see something, say something. Or you can see something, say something when Jack Dale and the PPP and Irfan Ali, they allowed thousands upon thousands of people in the country, hundreds upon hundreds, maybe thousands of Venezuelans, hundreds of Bangladeshi, hundreds of Pakistanis, and hundreds from India and all those other places without properly vetting those individuals. And when the PNC, it was the PNC who was talking up about a proper immigration plan. It was the PNC who was talking about vetting these people. It was the PNC who was alerting the nation about what could possibly go wrong with what the PPP was doing, right? All other people like Win and them in K, because they didn't understand these sort of things. It was just one thing. Oh, I'm a victim. I'm being persecuted. I'm a victim. And that's the politics they played. While Jack Day and the PPP were giving these Venezuelan nationals, mind you, I'm not painting all of them with a brush, and Bangladeshi identification cards to go and vote. They weren't concerned about national security. They weren't concerned about being sabotaged by maybe agents of Maduro or terrorists, people who are linked to terrorists coming in from other countries. They weren't concerned about that at all. Not at all. Now the chicken come home to roost. They're jumping up on a mountaintop, telling people, look out for suspicious people. How the hell you gonna look out for suspicious people when the PPP, Jack Dave and Irfan and these people allow these very suspicious people into the country? How the hell you gonna tell citizens now to look out for suspicious people when the hierarchy for the most part of the Guyana police force are linked to suspicious people, linked to drug lords, linked to money launderers, linked to gold smugglers? How are you going to tell people to look out for suspicious people when some members of the private sectors are linked to illegal activities and all these things? How are you going to tell people, ordinary citizens, to look out for suspicious people when you spend billions of dollars wasting it, giving it into contract to friends and cronies, and you don't have proper boats, proper Coast Guard vessels or police boats so that they keep an eye on the waters and the borders and so forth. You get people going in and out the country with speedboats, zoom, as the police would want us to know, tell us that terrorists came into the country on the same day. All these lies upon lies upon lies. days after that attack, almost 1 week after that attack, the police cannot come back out again to give an update to the public. Instead, they issue some press release saying people must keep an eye out. And then Jack Dale shared it on his page, telling people that people must keep an eye out for strange looking people. Well, the strange looking people are in Freedom House. The strange looking people, the suspicious looking people are in Freedom House. The suspicious looking people are at office of the president. And come Monday, some of those very suspicious people are going to be sworn in as members of parliament.
As they say, 5 more years upon them. All right. Well, a strong opposition, Mr. Benchop, is going to determine what that 5 years look like. And I have to ask you this question, because when you look at the opposition, you have the Win Party with 16 seats that you, Mr. Benchop, doesn't recognize as the opposition. You have the PNC, and by extension, the APNU with 12 seats. And then you have the Forward Guyana Movement with 1 seat. Don't you believe that these 3 parties have to work as a quorum to show any strength, to be able to show any strength from an opposition perspective? Over to you, sir.
Yeah, sorry about that. I did like Kadaki. I stepped away to get something to drink.
You want me to ask you the question again?
You heard who I imitated. I went to get something to drink like Kadaki. Good night to brother Kadaki, who's still doing a great job there. But
yes. Love that brother.
Yeah. There are other social media guys who are doing a really, really good job. I like Conan Marshall morning show with the highlighter. I think those brothers and sisters are doing a fantastic job for Region 10 and by extension Guyana. There are other brothers who do their things, and there are some, who just cuss and bark.
Yes, I sat in on a complete Sherrod Duncan program the other night.
Yeah, Sherrod is doing his thing as well, and I got to commend Sherrod, even though Sherrod likes to come over on straight up time till 9:30, and I want some of our listeners to go over until he must come off early. But Sherrod is doing a good job, and I like his energy, and so we must be able to encourage those brothers and sisters who are out there, especially on the ground, who are doing their thing because they're braving. They're on the ground, and I know what it's like being on the ground for many, many years. Being on the ground and fighting on the ground is different than some who are barking on Facebook. Those who are barking on Facebook, I say, let them go on the ground. They can't handle 1 day or 1 week on the ground. But Facebook is a safe place to bark these days, right? Man, I'm glad your people can't see my face, but that's it. And so those fighters on the ground, we got to salute them. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with them all the time, but we've got to salute them, and Duncan is one of them. But if Duncan keeps chipping into straight up time, he and I gonna go up the road. So y'all got to warn Duncan, don't go over 9 o'clock. Do your thing and go along your way, Duncan.
Like we're gonna have to
So
have
what's your final question?
a celebrity boxing match between you and Sherrod Duncan, huh? All right. No, and Mark, we cannot forget. We cannot forget.
Before you move on, before you move on, that celebrity boxing match. First of all, I don't count myself as a celebrity. I'm just an ordinary guy from Linden, Poker Street. And the funny thing is, a lot of the fighters from Linden, Sherrod Duncan is from Linden, Kadaki is from Linden, David Hines from Linden, Aubrey Norton from Linden, Jason Benjamin from Linden, Israel Gordon from Linden.
Dr.
A lot
Adams.
of fighters are actually
Dr.
from Linden.
Adams.
Of course, Linden get 1 or 2 chihuahuas, little puppies. Linden get 1 and 2 chihuahuas, little puppies like Mark Phillips and those little chihuahua, But Kadaki, I bet you didn't know Kadaki's from Linden.
No, I didn't.
Yep, he went to Buxton when he was a little boy, about 2 or 3 days old, but he don't want to tell people that. You should ask him. Flash Garden is from Linden too.
Yeah,
Everybody's from
Flash.
Linden, except Azruddin Mohammed. Azruddin Mohammed is not from Linden though. He's from Liliandal. Right.
You
What's your
forget
final question for
you
me,
forget
man?
the national cricketer Dr. Vincent Adams. You forget him. He's a Linden guy too.
He left Linden long ago, but I ain't from
But
Christian, but yeah.
I do have a final
But
question for you, but I'm looking at a question here from Miss Rita Clark. She said Win is not going to work with the PNC after listening to Miss Odessa Primus. You have anything to add to that?
you don't have to listen to anybody in Win to know that Win isn't working. Win, if people can't see the evidence, Win ain't working with nobody. Win's objective is to destroy the PNC. That's their agenda. You can't see what play out in Linden, Region 10. Y'all can't see if the PNC people can't see that from day one. The objective of the people in Win, Azruddin and these people, is to destroy the PNC. It's like they have a hatred for the PNC. And those who are surrounded now in that party, listen to them. Listen to them. Is that the hatred for the PNC? And they just put in Aubrey Norton as the boogeyman to make it look as though Aubrey is the guy that they don't like. It's the party they don't like. They don't like the PNC. It just so happened that Aubrey Norton become the boogeyman. You tell me, look, I don't agree with the leader of the PNC all the time, but you're going to tell me that I'm going to hate him so much to go and throw the baby water out and go and support some other set of people who don't have a history of supporting, who has a history of oppressing us. Come on, something in right some way. Something in right some way. This is all I got to say. So nobody needs to be convinced now. They should have been convinced months ago that Win is an enemy of the PNC. Simple as that. Win's objective is not to destroy the PPP. Win's objective is not to go after the PPP. Win's objective, did you see them in PPP stronghold area? 1 and 2 area they go, and well, the people chase them out, but they were focusing on predominantly African Guyanese communities. That is what they were doing. Meanwhile, some of those same people, some in the PNC, you get 1 foot in the PNC and 1 foot of Win, advising Win secretly behind the scenes, right? Some of them were brainwashing their support base into saying, Win is going to penetrate the PPP where? Sorry, I have to say it so raw. Where? The penetration was more of the PNC stronghold areas. Look at who is make up Win. All of them, majority of them are PNC, APNU people who gone over because they say they're vexed Aubrey. So because they're vexed Aubrey and they claim that they are strong PNC, but they vexed Aubrey because Aubrey is so bad for them. But they gone now with a man who is sanctioned, a man who is bad in the eyes of U.S. law enforcement agencies. Now, the hypocrisy doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. And I'm glad y'all not see my face. It doesn't add up. But when you talk, some people, the bums raise, this raise, that raise, the eyebrows raise, the eyelash raise, the bottom lips raise, and they're going to cuss up, they're going to run up the blood pressure. You can see they might get 1-2 program tonight barking at me. Chihuahuas. Mr. Caesar, Eddie, it's Saturday,
Mark,
man. It's Saturday, and 1 second. It's Saturday, and I got to go Bamba Mali. Conrad August waiting. We got to go Bamba
Yeah, hail up to Conrad August. I see him there. But Mark, you elaborate that they made Conrad Norton the boogeyman, but we also have to look at the fact of money. What do you think? How much of a factor do you think money played there too?
You can't put money above principle and take little crumbs. Take
Well, that is what the
How long
people
$100 gonna
essentially
last?
did.
How long $100 gonna last? You tell me.
It's not sustainable. It's absolutely not sustainable. But Mark, when you talk about suppressing the African Guyanese, particularly the African Guyanese communities, well, essentially that is what it's going to lead to. The people will fall for just about anything, right?
Jadeo and Irfan knew that the likes of Azruddin could not at no time penetrate the PPP support base. No time. Look at what Win did. You think Win penetrated them in Borbies? You think Win penetrated them in Region 5 and those other regions? You think Win penetrated them in Essequibo? You think look at what happened. Win got votes from predominantly PNC stronghold area, region 4, region 10, and so forth and so on. What they want to talk? What more evidence they want? You ain't gonna be a political scientist for figure this out. It's like Granny Ivla would say in Guyana, it is right there. It is right there in front of their eyes for them to see what's going on. When they gonna wait? When it's too late? Cat might eat I dinner by then, so I best I it. This all according to Granny Ivla.
All right. What a beautiful way to close it out. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 4 minutes after the 9 o'clock hour here on the East Coast in the United States of America. And I'm sure it's 4 minutes after 9 in Guyana also. Mr. Benchop, keep in mind, I believe that we go through a time change on tonight, right? The nights become an hour longer and the day an hour shorter. All right, so I think next weekend show, if we start it at 7 p.m. Eastern here in the United States, it's going to be 8 p.m. in Guyana. So I just want our listeners and viewers to know that next week's program, okay, is going to start at 8 p.m.
All right. Well, we'll see how that goes. We'll have to rearrange our time with some other programs and so forth. And I just want to wish everybody all the best on the weekends. Have a great rest of the night. And I noticed some people messaging me and telling me that Dr. Hines is not from Linden. Dr. Hines is originally from Linden. Kadaki is originally from Linden, and I maintain my story. Dr. David Hines went to Buxton when he was, I think, about 2 or 3 weeks old. 2 or 3 weeks old. They could fight me for that now. Linden, he from Linden. I maintain my story. Right? I'm just getting wrong with that though. But Guyanese, look, you said there's a change of time as of Sunday. That is true. But the people have to, in Guyana, they got to change their minds and they got to change their hearts from embracing people who don't give a rat's, about them, who don't have a history of struggling for them, and only who are only using them as pawns. You see some of them going out now pretending that they're fighting for you. Those very people sat there in the coalition for many years. You never see them outside. You never see them at the court. When people who are accused of whether it's Mingo, whether it's Lowenfield, and others who are accused of all sorts of things, when they go into court, you don't see these people. You don't see them. But suddenly, because they get a little big walk now with Wayne and Azradine and them, they feel good. They feel they're out there now. You see them foot to foot in court and all over. But when you ask where's the consistency and the fight and that energy with a party that gave them an opportunity to blossom into the politician that they are today, thousands of people who voted, give them an opportunity to become ministers, give them an opportunity to become members of parliament. And as soon as they got that opportunity and they saw that maybe they weren't heading back into parliament, they duck and go and they cut and run. They disrespected the very party that was there for them. They disrespected the very party supporters that was there for them. And they disappear, cut and run. And then they call that politics. And then they call that fighting for the people. It is more or less fighting for self, fighting for a seat in parliament, and fighting for their own recognition and political survival. That has nothing to do with the people. That is no act of patriotism in my book at all. Hence, I say, and I'm going to say this, that I recognize the 12 MPs going in from APNU as the real opposition party. I have absolutely no apologies for that.
And while you say that, Mr. Benchop, I have to say kudos to the Honorable Comrade Roysdale Ford, the Honorable Mr. Christopher Jones, and the Honorable Miss Annette Ferguson, because they did not go back to Parliament but they still stayed put with the PNC.
I know about you. Some people you still gotta watch with 4 eyes. This is all I got to say. And I say thing I need stock. Some people
Well,
you still gotta watch with 4 eyes because you cannot confuse your electorate. And some of these politicians are confusing their electorate. That's all I wish to say at this time. Thank you so much. And I know you got to wrap up, but I thank you so much for having me on tonight. And we'll be back when again? I don't know. Tell me.
I'll be on next Saturday for sure, and maybe one day during the week. You know, whenever you feel like you can give me that call, I should be available.
Yeah, I'll check with our producer Gavin on that. But yeah.
Oh yes.
You gotta go. Thank you, Wayne.
Okay, everyone. Well, that's it. It's a wrap for this evening show. I thank you guys for joining. And look, you guys stayed on it for 2 hours, man. All right, it's now 9 minutes after 9. We came on around 7:08, so we did get in 2 hours this weekend. You know, I hope that the program was edifying. I'm so happy that Mark was able to join us, and I really enjoyed his insight. Jason Benjamin, Conrad August, Israel Gordon, thank you guys for joining. Bossman Galiv, Jacqueline Johnson, Joylyn Cotton, thank each and every one of you. Thanks to each and every one of you for joining this evening. Love you, love you, love you. I want each and every one of you to really take care of yourself, take care of your family, your children. Okay? Until next weekend, over to you. Good night.
Yes. You want to tell me all these years, Mohammed and his father and all of them is a part of PPP that had gone at the PPP office, Freedom House on Rob Street, protecting the PPP from the black people and PNC. And all the time, you there in there, you never see that they ill-treating black people, they killing out black people. You never see this corruption within this party. All the time, you, your family, your uncle, your father, your sister, your mother, everybody supporting this party. Y'all never see that this party is corrupt. Never at no point in time until sanctions start raining down upon you and you expect them to cover you, and they did not cover you. They took away all your gold and diamond license and your business license, your cambio license, and you get upset. And then you started to decide that, what, I can run for election to get rid of the sanction, and I can run for election to get back at the people.
Who's that one? Low lights and hungry bellies.
At Big Bird Transportation Service, we specialize in safe, fast, and dependable delivery transportation for businesses and individuals. Whether you're sending a small package across town or need scheduled deliveries for your company, we're here to make sure your items arrive on time, every time. Our team is committed to providing efficient logistics solutions with a personal touch. With a fleet of well-maintained vehicles and experienced drivers, we handle every delivery with care, from pickup to drop-off. Why choose Big Bird? On-demand and scheduled deliveries. Local and regional coverage. Secure and professional handling. Customer-first service. Call us today at 929-329-9938 and let Big Bird take your deliveries to the next level.
I say I know what to do with she, I blow she ass away. Watch me. Right.
Yeah, this is the elite team. The root team.